We have been studying out of the book of 2 Samuel, and we are up to chapter 19, and we left off at verse 41. We finished verse 40. David is returning to Jerusalem after the long civil war that happened. Barzillai had greeted him, and then they had to part at the River Jordan. And here we find the King David coming into Israel. Verse 41. Behold, all the men of Israel came to the king and said unto the king, Why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen thee away, and have brought the king of his household and all of David's men with him over Jordan? And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, Because the king is near of us, of kin to us. Wherefore then be ye angry for this matter? Have we eaten at all the king's cost, or have he given us any gift? And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, We have 10 parts in the king, and we have also more right in David than ye. Why then did ye despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. And that's the end of this chapter. Now, in the King James, I was having a hard time deciphering some of this, but after I stared at it and I read some other versions, you can get the gist of what was going on in verse 41. The men of Israel, who are the brothers of the men of Judah. Y'all do know that they're all brothers.
Yeah.
They're all tied together.
Right.
So, to a common father. And but he's saying, why did the men of Judah and David sneak away? That's what it says. It said stole in the King James Version. Stolen thee away. And I looked up that word. It's ganab in Hebrew, and it means to go away by stealth, in secret. They were accusing Judah of sneaking King David out of Jerusalem. But let me ask you something. Did they do that? Remember, they did do that. Remember when they left? Okay. So, and also I want you to notice in verse 41 that the question was asked to David, but David did not answer. The men of Judah answered, and now the bickering begins. Okay. What was their answer? Why did they say they were able to do that? He says, David is bone of our bone, flesh of our flesh. In other words, David's closer to us than he is to you. And also he said, David's not paying us in any way. We're not mercenaries. We did it because we wanted to. And how did the men of Israel reply? They basically said, we have more men than you.
Right. And
why didn't you wait for us like we talked about earlier? There was a disagreement there. And finally in verse 43, who won this argument? It says Judah won the argument. And why? I want to find out if somebody's version says something different. It says the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. Does anybody have any word different than fiercer?
more harshly.
More harshly. Severe.
In other words, they were a little bit more fishy.
Yeah, I think they had been more seasoned also in war.
Right.
And I don't think the Israelites wanted to mess with their brothers, the Judah brothers, because Judah had already won, you know. And remember what we read earlier, only half of them went with David, half of the Israelites.
Right.
So you have half of them still in rebellion somehow, some way.
Right.
So that brings us up to chapter 20. Chapter 20, rebellion. And there happened to be there a man of Belial, whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite. He blew the trumpet and said, "We have no part in David, neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tent, so Israel." So every man of Israel went up from after David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah clave unto their king from Jordan to Jerusalem. I think this is pretty interesting that every time there comes up a guy that can come up against David, the Israelites tend to go with him. Do you notice a pattern there?
Yeah.
It's a pattern of rebellion.
Yes. That's why Judah got away with coming with the king, and the Israelites, you're just too wishy-washy for me.
Really? I mean, okay. Now, Sheba's name means 7, and his father's name means youthful, Bitri. Now, not much is known about Sheba, but he must have been a person of power because people followed him, and he blew the trumpet.
He sure did.
How many times have we seen that? We already studied the trumpet here, right? The trumpet was blown to draw the troops together and start another rebellion against the king. In verse 2 you find out, so every man of Israel, that's the former followers of Saul, okay? Former followers of Absalom. They gathered again to try to retake David's kingdom. But Judah, they remained true. It says they clave, and that word clave is dabak, D-A-B-A-Q, and it means to stick to him, to stick to it, to cleave to.
Right.
You know, we need to cleave to our King.
Amen.
Amen. Yes.
Amen.
In the times of trouble, when things come up against us, we've got to go to the King.
Yes.
Got to go to the King. All right, let's go to verse 3. David
Hey,
puts away. Yes,
sorry to
please,
bother
go
you.
ahead, yeah. Open for comment.
No, I was going to ask you, what was Sheba's father's son's name? What does it indicate, or what does it mean?
Birch tree is youthful.
Youthful. Thank you. That's all I
Youthful,
need.
yes. Yeah, I've got all these written down, so. Okay, at least the ones I was interested in. Verse 3, David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in ward, and fed them. But they went not in unto them, but he went not in unto them, so they were shut up unto the day of their death, living in widowhood.
I know.
This is one little section I put, David puts away his concubines. It kind of was just stuck in there right in the middle of this tale.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
And it says he put them in ward. That's the King James says ward. The Hebrew word is mishmeret, M-I-S-H-M-E-R-E-T. He put them under a safeguard watch. And it also says that he wouldn't go into them. In other words, he didn't have any relationships with them. It doesn't say anybody else didn't, but he definitely did not. And it says, but they were like widows until living in widowhood. And that widowhood, this is a bad word, really. In Hebrew, the word is almanut. Almanut.
How do you spell it?
A-L-M-A-N-U-T. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that's the way it's spelled. But it means discarded, divorced, or forsaken.
Oh.
Oh.
See, that's a little bit stronger.
Ain't it?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at that word, that's because you know the word's wrong in the King James, because they're not widows.
They're not.
So the word widowhood is not a good translation of that word. So the other two I seen was divorced and forsaken.
Right.
Oh my. So what do you think?
Mine was they lived like a widow until she died.
Right, they lived like a widow. That's probably the way it's in context with the way it's written. Now, was David good to them or no?
Yes.
At that day and time, yes.
I think he was very good to them at that time because they were supposed to be stoned. He pardoned them. I'm not saying that's laws right, but you know what? In our land, we have to go by the laws even though they aren't right.
Right.
That's why we have to change them sometimes, right?
But he's the one that left them.
He is. But then but his son went in and defiled them all, and therefore they deserve to be put to death according to Moses'
Right.
law.
But he was kind. He provided for him and just put him in. Mine says put him in seclusion.
And took care of them.
Yeah.
And
And
provided for him. Yeah.
But it's a sad thing when you read about stuff like that in the Bible. You know it goes on all over the world today.
Yes.
We see people getting kidnapped, women especially, and especially in the Middle East. You know, women aren't treated the way they should be treated.
You're right.
And back then they definitely were not treated the way they should be treated. And it wasn't God's will. Wasn't it God's will for man to have one wife?
Yes.
Nothing's
So how did it get messed up? I mean,
Man.
man, we blame it on the man, right?
Well, I mean, I don't mean man and I meant humans. I wasn't thinking about, because in the same way, I mean, the women said yes.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Not all the
It's the man
time.
that says yes.
But, well, that's true. But I mean, it's like, when there was other kingdoms that came,
Tell 'em what to
daughters
do.
went ahead and got married with the king just to make amends.
Okay. Remember, here we're going to continue on with the story in verse 4 about, we're going to talk about Amasa. Amasa had been made the leader of the troops.
Right.
Okay, so here we have him here. In verse 4 it says, Then said the king to Amasa, Assemble me the men of Judah within 3 days, and be thou here present. Okay, there's an edict from the king to Amasa.
Right.
So Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but
Yep.
he tarried longer than the set time which had appointed. David said to, let's see, do I want to stop there? Yes, I want to stop there. Okay. So he tarries, it says. The Hebrew word there is ahar. And it means procrastinate, delay, slack. He was late. And he wasn't a Latino. Right? He was a Jew. Okay, how many days was he late? This is why I wanted to stop here. How many days was he late?
3 days.
3 days. Where else in the Bible was somebody 3 days late?
Jesus.
Jesus was 3 days late when he went to go heal Lazarus, right? Jesus was 3 days late in the tomb. Jonah was 3 days dead in the well, right?
Although, you know what? It said that David gave him 3 days, but on my version it says he took longer.
Exactly. He took longer than the 3 days.
Took longer than
He
3
took
days.
longer, but I couldn't help but think of the every time that it seems like they give you 3 days and you have to come to the fourth day. You know? The fourth day of a resurrection, the fourth day of being spit out of a well, the fourth day of being raised from the dead. Wonderful things that happen, not because we tarry, because the Lord is faithful.
That's right.
Right?
Amen.
And let me ask you something else. This has happened to me and my family sometimes. What is worse? If you ask somebody to do something, they say, sure, I'm going to do it. And then they don't do it. Or is it better if you ask somebody to do it and they say, no, I'm not doing that. And then they go do it anyway?
Yes.
What's powerful about that?
That's a good question, right? I mean, that happens, right?
That's
Yes, it
right.
does.
And this is the kind of guy Amasa was. Apparently Amasa's getting himself in trouble. You don't disobey
He
the
loses
king's
his
orders. I mean, come on. They chop people's heads off in these books when we read about it, Okay, verse 6. And David said to Abishai, Now shall Sheba, the son of Bichri, do us more harm than did Absalom. Take thou thy Lord's servants and pursue after him, lest he get him fenced cities and escape us. And then there went out after him Joab's men, and the Cherethites, and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men, and they went out of Jerusalem to pursue after Sheba, the son of Bichri. And when they were at a great stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa went before them, and Joab's garment that he had put on was girded unto him, and upon it a girdle with a sword fastened upon his loins, in the sheath thereof, and as he went forth, it fell out. Now I'm going to stop there because in just a minute, Amasa is going to get killed. And this is Abishai that dropped his sword, right? So let's go back and look at this real quick. First of all, Amasa is a no-show.
See, mine has a totally different
Oh, yeah?
reading.
Huh?
Mine reads totally different than that.
You want to read it? That way we can see what they say.
Sure. Then David said to Abishai, Sheba, son of Bichri, is going to hurt us more than Absalom did. Quick, take my troops and chase after him before he gets into a fortified town where we can't reach him. So Abishai and Joab, together with the king's bodyguard and all the mighty warriors, set out from Jerusalem to go after Sheba. As they arrived to the great stone of Gibeon, Amasa met them. Joab was wearing his military tunic with a dagger strapped to his belt. As he stepped forward to greet Amasa, he slipped the dagger from his sheath.
Okay, they're taking their
liberties.
their liberties with that version, because I looked a lot of the other versions up,
Right.
and that version takes a lot of liberty. But let me tell you why. Okay, first of all, let's go back and look at this. David had appointed Amasa, and Amasa's a no-show, so he reappoints Abishai
Right.
to go take the royal guard, which
Right.
every time you see the Cherethites and the Pelethites and the mighty men, this is the royal guard. Cherethites, the root word is means to cut, destroy. Okay,
The
and
destroyers.
they're the destroyers, they're the executioners. And then the Pelethites were the messengers or couriers. Okay, so these kind of people had different things, but they were the royal guard. Okay. And then the mighty men, that word is Gibor, which means warriors or giant, valiant men. Basically, they got this royal posse together to go after this guy.
Yeah, they did.
Okay? Now, so I thought Amasa was supposed to take the troops. Now, this is a question I have. How come the troops catch up with him? Where was he going? Amasa. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do what the king said, but then, of course, Abishai ends up catching up with him. And then Joab apparently has a wardrobe issue, right?
Yes.
But I have a problem with this. Abishai is the grand general of all the armies, and you'd think he'd know how to wear his equipment without it just falling off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that version that you're saying is taking liberties thinking that he did do this. But Josephus, we've talked about him before,
Right.
he thought it was intentional. Okay? Okay, so let's go on to verse 9. We're in 2 Samuel chapter 20. And it says, so Joab said to Amasa, art thou in health, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard with the right hand to kiss him. But Amasa took no heed to the sword that was in Joab's hand. So he smote him therewith in the fifth rib, and shed out his bowels upon the ground, and struck him not again, and he died. So Joab and Abishai his brother pursued after Sheba, the son of Bichri.
Yep.
And I'm going to stop there before I turn the page there. All right, here we see another Bible kiss. Sometimes Bible kisses are dangerous.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kiss
So,
of death.
this is how it happens to me. This is how I seen it. Joab comes up toward
Amasa.
Amasa, and as he approaches him, he acts like he's dropping his sword, as if to salute a new general. He bends down to salute the new general. And it's common, Amasa takes him by the beard. It's common among friends to grab you by the beard and kiss you. Glad we don't do that here. But he did what they call the finishing blow, you know? And
That's bad when his guts
yeah,
spill.
some of the kids that played Mortal Kombat, they had that finishing blow where, never mind. He thrusts the sword into the fifth rib. And you know why the fifth rib is important, right? Everybody know? If you count down from your down to your fifth rib, what's on your fifth rib? Your heart. Right through the heart. That's a kill. It's a kill blow. Kill blow. Okay? And not only that, he rips his bowels out.
Yes, he does. He does it too.
It kills him instantly. Of course, Joab considers Amasa a traitor.
Right.
He must be. He's running away or something because he's not with the army. He just tarried and didn't go with them.
He didn't do what he was supposed to do.
He didn't. And you realize this is his brothers murdering him. The two brothers leave the dead body of Amasa on the road to pursue number 7, Sheba. All right. On to the next, verse 11. And one of Joab's men stood by him and said, he that favoreth Joab and he that is for David, let him go after Joab. And Amasa wallowed in blood in the midst of the highway. And when the man saw that all the people stood still, he removed Amasa, got up off the highway into the field, and cast a cloth upon him, when he saw that everyone that came by him stood still. And when he was removed out of the highway, all the people went on after Joab to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. Man, what a scene.
I know, right?
Woo! Joab brutally murders a man whom David had appointed general over all the armies, and everybody just stands by gaping in terror. I mean, his bowels are all spread on the road, and it was carnage. You know, as you walk by, the people just stopped and stared at them. The armies wouldn't even move. And so one of Joab's men has him pulled off the highway and a cloth thrown on top of him. And upon removal, the people followed Joab in his request to kill Sheba. And he also retained his place as the leader of the army. So you see that he had dual reasons. Joab had dual reasons for murdering this man, right? Okay. All right, that brings us to Sheba. I got time to do this one. Verse 14. Sheba loses his head.
Ew.
And he went through all the tribes of Israel unto Abel and Beth-Makkah. Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And all the Bererites, and they that were gathered together, went also after him. And they came and besieged him in Abel at Beth-Makkah, and cast up a bank against the city. It stood in the trench, and all the people that were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down. Then cried a wise woman out of the city, Hear, hear, say I, pray you, unto Joab. Come hither, that I may speak unto you. And when he was come near unto her, the woman said, Art thou Joab? And he answered, I am he. Then she said unto them, Hear the words of thine handmaid. And he answered, I do hear. And then she spake, saying, They were wont to speak in old times, saying, They shall surely ask counsel at Abel. So they ended the matter. I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel. Thou seekest to destroy a city and a mother in Israel? Why wilt thou swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? So Joab answered and said, Far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy. The matter is not so, but a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Bichri, by name, hath lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Deliver him only, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said unto Joab, Behold, his head shall be thrown to thee over the wall. Then the woman went unto the people in her wisdom, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bichri, and cast it out to Joab. And he blew a trumpet, and they retired from the city, every man to his tent. And Joab returned to Jerusalem to the king. Wow. Okay. So they're chasing after Sheba, and Sheba runs into a city just like Joab said that he probably would, right?
Right.
And it says here they went to up to a place called Abel, which Abel means the plain, a meadow, and then Beth-Makkah means house of Makkah, or it's located at the foot of Lebanon. I'm not sure what Makkah means, couldn't find it. But they caught up with him in Abel in a fenced city, and it says that Joab attacked him using a bank. I bet your version says something different in verse 15 other than the bank.
Mine does.
Siege mount.
Siege mount. Okay.
It's a siege ramp.
Siege ramp. You know, these were common, especially Romans. The Romans used them to seize Masada, I think it was, the city that was in Jerusalem, near Jerusalem. They built basically ramps up to them.
Right.
And so this was common. Sometimes they also used towers that were on wheels, and they would roll them into the city walls and bust the walls down. This was called a siege tower. This one, they think it was made of dirt, and they would just build the dirt up until you just climb over the wall. Pretty smart, right?
Yeah. What kind of time do you have to build a dirt wall, though?
I don't know. This doesn't happen overnight.
I know, because
You know?
that's what I'm saying. It's like, don't they see that outside the wall?
But apparently they've done this before, so they have a military plan on how to get it done. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because, hey, I'm not in the military, but I know guys that have been, and my dad was in. There's a manual for everything.
Absolutely.
There is. There's a manual for everything. And in the Army, they have one to put this thing together. And This word, also they use the word here, it was stood in a trench. Now that word trench, it's kind of a misnomer. The word is hel, H-E-L, and it means a bulwark or a rampart. In other words, they would dig, just like in the Civil War or World War I, they would dig ditches and then they would put mounds in front of it so they wouldn't get hit by arrows and stuff, okay? So that's what's called a rampart. And you've heard that in our national anthem, over the ramparts. When I was a kid, I said, what is a rampart? You know?
Now you know.
Yeah, now we know. And then they began battering the wall. And then this wise woman looks over, I got just a few seconds. This wise woman looks over, the word wise there is hakam, and hakam means subtle, intelligent, and skillful woman.
Right.
She yells down the wall, hey, aren't you Joab? He goes, yeah, I'm him, right?
Yeah.
And he basically says, what do you want? You're attacking a city that's David's city. Why are you attacking one of David's cities?
It's like, what is he doing?
That's what she's saying. And then she's saying, well, most people would come here to this site, verse 18, to seek counsel. And she says, I am one of those counsel people. That's what she said. I'm peaceable.
Yeah.
I'm one of the council people. You talk to me, you're talking to everybody else. I'm the one in charge. Boy, this lady was in charge.
She was.
Yeah. I like ladies like this. Here you got an army coming up to him, and this one woman. No men doing it. Just woman. Hey, why are you doing that?
Exactly.
You know? I get it. Hey, why are you doing it? Hey, we want this guy. We want this guy.
You can have it. We don't want it.
That's what she says. Oh, let me go talk to these people real quick, and I'll bring you his head.
Right? We'll get you his head. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So,
It's amazing she didn't fix something for them to eat too.
yeah, I know.
Yes.
There you go.
And her questions was, why destroy the city? And that word destroy there was mut. Now, we know what mut means. It doesn't mean just kill them. It means kill them dead. Yeah. Why do you want to kill us all dead? And then she calls herself the mother of Israel.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. And then they use the word swallow. And the word in Hebrew is bala. It means destroy, devour, eat up. The inheritance. Nahala. Possession. Portion of Yahweh.
Yeah.
Portion of God. That's what Nahala means. Possession of God.
Yeah.
She says, why are you destroying the possessions of God?
What is wrong with you
Yeah.
people?
And he says, Joab is really quick to reply. He says, Halil, which means God forbid, God forbid. I don't want to do
We're not
that.
trying to hurt you guys. We're
No,
just
I'm not
trying
coming
to
here.
get the dude that...
And the other thing I couldn't help but think of, Alice in Wonderland, off with the
Off
head.
with his head. Off with his head. That's what I was thinking.
Off with the head.
Don't you dare.
So the choices that they had, the council, the wise council, the choices they have either destroy the city or give him Joab's head. So off with his head,
Off with his head.
chunked it over the wall, done, right?
It's amazing. You get rid of somebody's head and it causes peace.
Yeah, right. Again, a trumpet is blown, and all hostilities cease. Now, next week we're going to study about the establishment of David's government, and then we get to go on to lesson 21, which Joyce is passing out the outline for the next two chapters as we get closer to the end of this wonderful book. God bless you.
Break time.